Hi there, Michael Youssef, franchise owner of Jim's Bookkeeping and Tax in Blacktown. And each and every day I have the privilege and opportunity of working with fellow franchisees and other small businesses to really inspire their businesses to be the best that they can be. So the purpose of today's video is to break down and demystify the new stimulus plan that was recently updated, as well as giving you information as to what the benefits are and potentially how to access those benefits as well. Now, on behalf of the entire Jim's Bookkeeping and Tax division, we are here to support you through this crisis. Our bookkeepers are ready. Our tax specialists are ready to handle your queries. You know the number 131546. We are only a phone call away. So what support is being made available to individuals and families at the moment? The first is in the way of a coronavirus supplement, which will be administered by Centrelink and introduced for the next 6 months. It is set at a rate of $550 per fortnight. So unlike the New Start allowance and other payments which are income tested and means tested, and therefore the payment amount will vary or fluctuate, the coronavirus supplement will be set at that $550 per fortnight amount. The job seeker payment is now the new word rather than New Start allowance. So job seeker is the new payment that is replacing the New Start allowance, and it will be expanded to provide access to permanent employees who have been stood down or lose their jobs, sole traders, casual workers, and contract workers. Now, the income test is still in force. However, there are waivers to the asset test. So typically it's income test and asset test. However, in light of recent events, the asset test will be waived to allow you to access a job seeker payment and a coronavirus supplement to keep your household expenses and to keep your life going. So the idea is that you will have a reduced wait time. There is a faster claim process and a streamlined application process as well. It might be hard to believe that because the news is advertising extremely long wait times in Centrelink and a MyGov website that keeps crashing. I imagine that they are just going to improve that to make sure that we can all access it if need be. The message they're sending is to remain job ready in case you need to be redeployed back into the workforce. And if you do want information, you will need to reach out to Centrelink directly. So for retirees, there's a 50% reduction in your drawdown limits, which will allow you to preserve more capital, and that will apply for the 2020 and 2021 financial years. There are also changes to the deeming rates. The upper deeming rate will be set at 2.25%, and the lower deeming rate will be set at 0.25%. And that'll really allow more retirees and more of those who are on the age pension to either get more age pension or get access to the age pension, because deeming impacts the amount of age pension that's potentially paid to retirees. There are now changes to the existing financial hardship provisions in superannuation, and you will be able to access $20,000 over 2 financial years. The first $10,000, which is you're able to access in the current financial year, you can apply from mid-April 2020. Another $10,000 you can apply for in the 2021 financial year, and that is from July to September only. It is a tax-free payment. It is not automatic. You will need to apply via MyGov through the ATO to get access to those funds. So it is very important that you go and update your information with your superannuation providers so they can pay that amount smoothly and efficiently. To be eligible, you must be unemployed, you must be eligible to receive a job seeker payment, and after the 1st of January, you were made redundant, your working hours were reduced by 20% or more, or if you were a sole trader, you had your business suspended, or you've seen a reduction in your turnover of 20% or more. To support household cash flow, the government initially announced a one-off payment of $750 to eligible payment recipients. Now, this was tax-free. It was going to be paid automatically. And even if you qualified under multiple benefits, you were only going to get this benefit payment once. However, that has now changed, and there are now 2 benefit payments of $750. However, the rules stay the same. The first benefit payment is going to be paid on a very wide range of benefits. They are quite big, so I didn't include them here. So you will need to see via Centrelink what benefits are going to be covered. But I can tell you that the job seeker payment is covered. And so if you are on the job seeker payment, you will get paid your $750 one-off. However, the second benefit payment, which will be paid from the 13th of July, if you are receiving a coronavirus supplement, you will not be entitled to the second benefit payment. And that concludes what support and what incentives are available for our individuals. Moving on to the support available for our business owners and those who employ staff. So for those who employ, there is up to $100,000 available, which now includes not-for-profits for those employers who employ people and you have a withholding obligation. So that's increased from the original $25,000 amount that was set in the first stimulus round. There is also up to $20,000 being made available for those employers who do employ people, however, with no withholding tax obligations. And that's increased from the original $2,000 amount that was set. So how this will work will mean that you will still need to continue to do your bookkeeping and lodge your BAS. So as far as your compliance is concerned, it's business as usual. Because in order to receive these payments, it is acting in the way of a credit on the tax withheld from your salaries. So rather than pay the PAYG withholding amount in your salaries, in your BAS, that will be received to you as 100% credit. And that's up to a maximum of $50,000 per credit for those employers who do withhold, or a minimum credit of $10,000 who do report salaries and wages, but are not required to withhold. Now, this is a refundable credit, which means that if in your activity statement you are in a credit position, you will be able to have that credit repaid back to you. Originally, it was set for quarter 3 and quarter 4. However, the government has expanded it for the first quarter of the 2021 financial year. However, the payment arrangements will vary slightly. Now, for those who do employ apprentices or trainees, there is a wage subsidy that's been made available for 9 months, so from 1 January to 30 September, and that will cover 50% of the apprentice or trainee's wage. It is up to a maximum of $21,000 reimbursed per eligible apprentice, and that will be paid in $7,000 lots per quarter. Now, registration is required, so it's not automatic, so please visit the Department of Education, Skills and Employment and Australian Apprenticeships. Now, it might seem contradictory that the government is encouraging business spending during this difficult time, but really the message here is to continue on with business as usual as much as possible. And to support you, the government has increased the instant asset write-off from $30,000 to $150,000, effective to 30 June 2020. Please keep in mind that as of 1 July 2020, the asset threshold will revert back to the original $1,000 amount, and that will apply to businesses with a turnover of under $10 million. If you are looking to buy assets, there are accelerated depreciation rules that are in effect from now until the end of June 2021. And what that will allow you to do is it will allow you to claim a 50% deduction immediately on assets that are installed and ready to use, and then the balance of the value of that asset is depreciated under normal depreciation rules. For financially distressed businesses, there are going to be changes at a few levels. The first is increasing the threshold at which creditors can issue a statutory demand or bankruptcy proceedings. So currently, for a creditor to issue a statutory demand, you must have a $2,000 debt outstanding, and you would only have 21 days to respond. And for bankruptcy proceedings, it must be a minimum $5,000 debt, and you would only have, once again, 21 days to respond. That is now changing, and the minimum debt outstanding is now $20,000, and you will have 6 months to respond to that statutory demand or bankruptcy notice. There are going to be changes to allow for more flexibility in the Corporations Act to relieve directors from any personal liability whilst trading insolvent. Now, this will apply for 6 months, and it will only apply to debts incurred in the ordinary course of the company's business, so no funny business. So if you do find yourself trading insolvent over the next 6 months, and that's because of the debts that are ordinarily incurred in the course of your business, there is relief from that director's penalty that is normally applicable as per the Corporations Act. ASIC and the Treasurer will be given more power and flexibility with the Corporations Act over the next 6 months. ASIC will have the ability to relieve some provisions, while the Treasurer will have the power to amend and modify obligations over 6 months as well. For those regions, sectors, communities that have been disproportionately affected by the COVID-19 pandemic, there is $1 billion worth of stimulus being made directly available to you, and you will need to check to see whether you are one of those severely affected regions, sectors, or communities. The airline industry is going to be supported as well. And there is ATO administrative relief, which is on a case-by-case basis. You can contact the ATO direct on 1-800-806-218, or please feel free to reach out to your accountant or our GYM's tax specialist as well. Now, for accessing credit, so this is the initiatives that were set particularly to encourage and entice our lenders to continue giving or lending or allowing the flow of credit to us as small to medium enterprise. The first comes in the way of a 50% guarantee that the government is placing on new unsecured loans to small to medium enterprise, which is used for working capital. So working capital is your day-to-day operational type costs. So the maximum loan size can only be $250,000 per borrower. It is up to 3-year loan. Initial loan, you've got a 6-month repayment holiday. It's unsecured debt, which means no asset is required. However, it is subject to a lender's assessment process. It's now up to the lenders to see whether they're willing to come to the table and support small business here. The other ways the government is enticing lenders is by exempting the responsible lending obligations in regards to providing credit to small to medium enterprise. The RBA is funding the banking system at their rate of 0.25%. Additional funds are being made available to support smaller lenders, and there are going to be changes to the banking capital ratios as well. More every day, this wheel is constantly turning, and I got off the phone with a lender, and every single day they're getting updates as to which lenders are coming to the table and offering these loan repayment deferrals, whether it's going to be automatic, whether you have to apply. At this stage, there are business loan repayment deferrals being made available. It is via the bank, and you may have to apply, so acceptance may not be necessarily automatic, and you will need to contact your lender to determine what is being made available to you. The RBA also issued an emergency rate cut recently to cut the rate down to 0.25% as well. The ATO is offering additional support. So firstly, they're allowing you to defer your payments by up to 4 months, and that includes a number of returns, includes activity statements, PAYG installment statements, income tax assessments, fringe benefit tax, and excise tax. So you will get more time to pay your bills to the ATO. If you typically receive a credit in your quarterly BAS, you are being allowed to move to a monthly reporting cycle to access those credits sooner. They are also allowing you to vary your PAYG installment amount to nil, which will reduce the amount that you have to pay in every activity statement. If you have paid PAYG installment amounts in the first 2 quarters, so quarter 1 and quarter 2, you will be allowed to claim a refund for those amounts. The ATO is also remitting interest and penalties that are incurred on or after the 23rd of January this year, and providing low interest payment plans to small businesses. Once again, acceptance is not automatic, and you will need to consult directly with the ATO, or alternatively speak with your accountant or your GYM's tax specialist. So there you have it. They are the recent stimulus plan updates that were announced by our government. Please feel free to reach out. GYM's Bookkeeping and Tax is here to support you. Our objective is to make sure that you not only survive but thrive after this. Goodbye and good luck.